Hi, this is David, and in this video I want to share with you why I decided to quit veganism after 15 years. To start off, I just want to say that I'm going to share purely my opinion and what works for me. Whatever your diet is, it's your business. If something works for you, great. The reason why I'm making this video is to share what got me into it and why I quit veganism. Because I thought I would be the last person to do something like this. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So, at the age of 15, I stopped eating meat, and after a few years, all animal products as well. And I believed I was doing what was best for my body, and also I didn't want to support factory farms and how they treated animals. I saw a couple of documentaries about the state of the meat industry, and I told myself I didn't want to support that. I was also influenced by videos and articles about how eating meat in general is bad for the body and unnatural, and that it leads to health problems. So my reason was twofold. I was convinced that I was doing the best for my health and also that I was doing the best ethically. So it all started sometime in 2009, and after about 4 years of being a vegetarian, I switched to 100% veganism without any animal products, and again I was convinced that I was doing the best for myself. And this continued for the next years, until last year, 2023. But before I get to that tipping point, I should also mention that for the last 2 to 3 years of plant-based diet, I have been quite particular about diet quality, food quality, nutrient supplementation, variety and wholeness of the foods I ate. That said, I have not been eating any vegan meat substitutes, any ultra-processed foods, etc. I also kept an eye on my B12 levels, which vegans are supposed to be apparently deficient in, but which tests showed were within normal limits. I say this because I myself, when I used to see a video of a former vegan, my first reaction, like many others, was, oh, they certainly weren't eating healthy enough, they were just eating some substitutes and not doing veganism right. Or I would condemn the person for doing an unethical thing and for supporting the slaughter of animals. But then there was a week in the fall of 2023 when my body was telling me that it was missing something, and it's hard to describe that feeling, but it was something like an internal feeling of not having enough, despite eating a variety of foods, healthy foods, enough of it, enough portions, and supplementing with quality supplements. It felt like my body was missing something, and it was more than just being hungry and needing something to fill you up. This was such an intrinsic feeling of not being satiated. And again, this is purely my subjective perception, which may sound weird to you, but that's just the way it was for me. So, with this feeling of undernourishment, thoughts of meat started to come up, which was quite surprising to me, because in all my time as a vegan, I hadn't had any cravings or thoughts of meat at all. It honestly freaked me out a bit, because I'm not the one who's going to start eating meat. Not at all, I was telling myself. Because when you've been so identified with something for so long that it's the right thing to do, in this case veganism for me, to do the opposite of that seems quite unthinkable. Like some idea you've been holding on to for so long that you don't want to let go collapses. But that's getting more into the philosophical view, which I want to come back to later. Well, to make a long story short, in late 2023 I decided to try eating some meat and bought some organic beef from a local farm. I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't used to the taste of meat at all, and it didn't really go over my mouth very well. But after lunch, I felt surprisingly great. I had stable energy and felt like I suddenly gave my body what it wanted all along. Even though my head, my mind said the opposite, that my body didn't need it or want it. So I started including more meat products like beef and turkey in my diet, plus home-cooked eggs, good quality fats like olive oil, butter and ghee, and other nutritious things. Over time, as I started eating more animal products, I started feeling better and better. Over time, as I started eating more animal products, I started feeling better and better. And now it's been less than a year since I started, and now I have more energy, muscle mass, and overall feel that this type of eating is much more sustainable for me personally. And it's not like I suffered from some health issues before that led me to this. But now with this change, I can feel the difference for the better. As I said at the beginning, I'm the last person I would have thought would make such a change. I have been a staunch advocate of the vegan and plant-based worldview, whether from an ethical or health perspective. And while I've never been a hardcore vegan activist who feels the need to tell everyone that they're doing something wrong, this change also helped me realize that I was quietly judging others who ate meat. On some level, I was actually putting myself above them and seeing myself as better than those who ate meat. I didn't show it outwardly, but in retrospect, I realized that inwardly I had this attitude. I used to go to vegan festivals, be surrounded by people who were vegan or vegetarian, and be convinced of all the attitudes and worldviews that vegans in general as a community hold. Yes, I still think that factory farming itself is a problem and that we should treat animals better during their lives as humanity. That's also why I support local farmers as much as possible with my purchases, where it's possible to buy higher quality produce and meat that comes from animals in better conditions. One of the other arguments that tends to be more prevalent among spiritually oriented people, and which has influenced me as well, is that eating meat apparently lowers one's vibration or energy, and that eating meat is not spiritual. I used to believe this a lot, but I no longer do. I know a number of people who eat meat and are quite spiritually mature. I don't experience any lower energy myself, and a number of spiritual masters have eaten meat as well. Plus, I think the quality and origin of the food in question plays a big part in what effect it will have on us and our health. Maybe some vegans or vegetarians will watch this video and judge me in the same way that I once judged those who ate meat, or even former vegans who went back to meat and animal products. Maybe some will say, I've been vegan for 10 years and I'm fine, you were doing it wrong. Yeah, I was saying the same thing when someone quit veganism. And the change for me came after 15 years, and I didn't expect it at all. And when someone had some health problems, my first thought was that they should try a vegan diet. No other option was even a possibility for me. I don't tell anyone how they should eat. The general rule of thumb, which I think applies to anything or anyone, is that food should not be overly processed and should be as whole as possible. I've come to the conclusion from my own experience that the way I eat now is many times more sustainable for me than a plant-based diet, and that it suits my body much better. And then there's the philosophical side that I briefly mentioned. It may seem funny to you, but the hardest change has been the internal one. Coming to the terms with the fact that I'm not vegan anymore. I had created a strong identity around veganism that defined me. I was identified with it and couldn't imagine anything else. Questions like, who am I now if I'm not vegan, came to mind. It made me sad that I was essentially losing a part of myself, even though it wasn't really me, just some idea of me. It may sound absurd to you, but it's true. Like I said, if you hold on to something so tightly for half of your life, you're not going to want to let it go. And the way I see it, it works in all areas of our lives. Sometimes we need to open ourselves up to something new and to let go of the old to get better or to get what we want. So that's my experience after 15 years of being vegan and plant-based. What about you? Have you had a similar experience or know someone with a similar experience? Please share in the comments below the video. Thank you.